better watch out if your enemy's a road ahead of full prophecy to be the greatest beast the world has ever seen. I feed him every day like the bones clean. I feed him all the hate and he grows me, and he gets caught real big, pissed off quick. And if you cross it, you might drop dead. Metaphorically, of course, settling the score, never getting bored. Lots of blood and gold, always wanting more freedom from the source. They don't really listen until they feel the force of body. And if you start shit, you be hard lived in the darkness. Torn apart quick, you let scars rip, you be chewed up and discarded. And this world ain't bright, won't accept it. Negative energy, I expect it. Once it's in your mind, it's infection.
It was so sad because I said, can you imagine I'm not going to be president? And that's too bad. And then what happened is they rigged the election and I became president. 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 They rigged the election and I became president.
They rigged the election and I became president.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the show. Another episode of The Voice of Reason. I am your host, Jeremy Baker. As you can see, Mike is not beside me again this week. He's on another family trip because, once again, he has a life. I do not. But we did go ahead and get somebody to go ahead and hang out with me for this episode. So we got Matt Gordon coming back to the show, also known as USMC Angry Veteran from TikTok and other social media platforms. You have a YouTube channel as well, which I believe is the same as what's on the screen there. So, and I have it also in the description of the video. So if you guys want to go over to his channel and subscribe, you can do that as well. So we got a lot of stuff we want to talk about today. But first, I wanted to say hello to Matt. Welcome back to the show.
Hello,
how are
hello.
you doing?
Thanks
world is on
me.
fire.
Yes, living the nightmare.
How are you holding up?
As best I can. My son has a thing that he says all the time when I was like, how'd you do today? And he's like, I did the best I could. And I was like, yeah, I feel that. That is my mantra.
It's like all you can do right now. I just found out a couple hours ago because I tried not to consume much news this morning that Iran is now bombing the shit out of Israel. Russia is now putting out a full-on assault against Ukraine, with the United States not doing a damn thing anymore to help our allies. Yeah, and the world's on fire. Like, did we just witness World War III start? Or I don't really know what to make of it yet. But it's a little nerve-wracking.
A little bit.
So
yeah.
we have a lot to talk about today. So we want to do a reaction to a couple things that Donald Trump said from the State of the Union. One regarding transgender mice, which is just, it's just dumber than the eating of cats and dogs things. Can we be honest here? Elon Musk is pushing to have the guy who murdered George Floyd pardoned by Donald Trump, and he's not alone. He also has right-wing nut job Ben Shapiro on board with this, which I think, and I'm not alone in this theory, that this would start an absolute race war.
They're not going to be able to do it.
No, but
like
here's
what I think everybody needs to understand. Derek Chauvin is his murder convictions and all of that. Those are all state charges. President can't pardon those.
Oh, that's true.
So
That's
unless Tim Walz comes out and pardons him, which I don't see happening, they can pardon the federal charges for violating George Floyd's civil liberties and human rights. But he ain't going nowhere. He's staying in prison.
Also, with all this fraud that Elon Musk is finding, I just find it so weird that not a single person has been named or implicated in the fraud, considering fraud is a crime. You know that thing that Donald Trump was convicted of? Fraud? But nope. No, not a single person. All this fraud they're finding, not a single person.
Well, they keep reporting on their fraud and putting it up onto their little website and then being like, oh wait, that's not fraud, and then they have to take it down, and then they put it back up and they take it down,
or it gets hacked because the cybersecurity is shit. These geniuses.
Shocking.
I know, right?
I'm sorry, are you telling me that the 19-year-old Big Balls isn't a good cybersecurity expert? That's insane.
Right? It does, yeah. For those of you who don't know, that's what he goes online. That's his online name. He goes by Big Balls. That is who's rooting around in all of our personal information. I'm sure nothing will get leaked or sold on the black market or anything. I doubt that'll happen.
Yeah.
So, but we also want to talk about Donald Trump and them going after the VA. and other social programs as well. Their budget or their continuing resolution or whatever it's called that they're going to be voting on here soon could really destroy a lot of people's lives. Yeah. So yeah, let's get into it, man. I know it sounds depressing. We are going to have a few laughs, hopefully. But you know, the one thing I really got this overwhelming feeling. One, I think I figured out what MAGA's core weakness is, and it's the fact that they just underestimate the living. Well, that too. That reading, science, education, anything like that. But no, I think it's the fact that they just underestimate the shit out of us. Because I had this one video. It didn't go viral, but I got like 10 times as many comments as I did likes. And I'm like, that's never happened before. So I went and looked in. Of course, it's MAGA freaking out because they're such fragile little snowflakes. That they just think we're all these blue-haired and we're all like just I don't know what they think. I don't honestly know. They think none of us own firearms. They're like, we know how to hunt. You don't. I'm like, dude, I'm from fucking Pennsylvania. Like, not even that. I'm like from a small town in Pennsylvania. Right. Everybody knows how to hunt. Everybody owns guns. You know what I mean? So it's so stupid. But they honestly think that we all have blue hair and just piercings and tattoos everywhere. And then, you know, we're just these weak, insecure men. I'm
gonna dye my hair blue so that when I do punch a Nazi in the mouth, I'm gonna be like toned.
You got punched by a blue-haired liberal. How's it feel? Yep. How's it feel? But the other thing I've realized, though, is that their plan is, I mean, failing is maybe too strong of a word, but there's cracks showing in their plan. I think they're getting a lot. I think they thought everybody was just going to go along with this. See, like the key to fascism succeeding is the population is rolling over and going, oh, this is just the way it is now. But they're finding out that that's not how a lot of Americans feel, including their own constituents, because even MAGA in deep red areas are dumping Donald Trump and their administration because of things like taking sides with Russia, who has always been our enemy, or cutting social programs like their grandmother's Social Security. You know what I mean? What are nursing homes going to do when they cut Medicare and Medicaid? I just feel like they haven't thought this through on how many lives this is going to.
And I feel like we need to stop giving them the benefit of the doubt that they're just incompetent. They know what they're doing. They know the people that it's going to affect. They're banking on everybody not giving a shit.
Yeah. Well, they went after. They're going after their own base because we've covered plenty of times on the show how red states require vast amounts more of government subsidies and government aid than blue states. And they typically get that aid from blue states. Like most of the money and all that stuff comes from blue states. So yeah,
all of the money comes from
a lot of things are going on. So not only next weekend, we're going to have Liz back on from Stop Moms for Liberty, who was a career-long educator, because we also want to talk about the fact that Elon has now got his hands in the Department of Education, which is not going to end well for anybody. I promise you that. Your kids' futures are literally in jeopardy right now. But now they're in the find out stage. Did you hear about, I don't remember if this was a state thing or they tried this on a federal level, that girls that are now playing like high school and grade, like from 4 years up until graduation, certain Republicans want there to be genital checks. And I wish I was making this up. So if you are a Republican and your daughter plays sports, just know, depending on what state you're in, you may have some stranger looking at your daughter's genitals to make sure they're the way they think they're supposed to be. You know what I mean? So they're going to target all cis women now and girls because of this. So they basically, their fear of a few transgender people's existence has put in jeopardy the safety and, I don't know, not integrity, but you know what I mean? It put the safety of all these girls in jeopardy here in the future. It's just pathetic what they're doing.
It's never been about protecting children.
No, just like it's never been about fentanyl.
Hate. Yeah, it's never been about protecting children. It's always been about hate and bigotry.
Right.
Always.
You're right, though. Suffering, though, is kind of the point with these people. So you saw the opening video. I thought I'd open with that because that is now the second time that Donald Trump has publicly admitted that they rigged the election.
Yep.
Like, at what point are we gonna, like, this is what pisses me off about America. And actually, I think I was a little bit wrong, because there are more and more protests going on nationwide. But I was at work, and I deliver packages for Amazon, and I hate my existence when I'm in that Amazon van in that Amazon uniform. Trust me. But again, small area, limited opportunities, and I have a family.
Gotta do what you gotta do, man.
Right. But I totally forgot where I was going with that. So I'm not even, I'm just so pissed off. You know what I mean? Like, that's what I'm pissed off about, is we're not out in the streets. Sorry, going on a little rant there. But we're not out in the streets like that. Like, why am I delivering packages when literally everything in my world is falling apart? I'm about to lose any government assistance I might qualify for. I'm not going to get any help in the future. My kids may not be able to get money for college, or their colleges may get defunded if they teach woke ideology. Like, the amount of insanity that is happening right now. And like you said before the show, the wrong people have all the money. The inhumane assholes that care about profits over people have all the money, like Elon Musk and Zuckerberg and all those people.
Which is what you have to do to get all the money. You have to not care about anybody but yourself.
I agree. You're right, though. You are right. You don't care about the benefit of people, because that's what drives me nuts about these billionaires. And I hope this year's with the yachts burning and everything like that, I hope this year I'm not condoning that, obviously, but I just hope this year the billionaires get a cold shiver down their spine when they realize how many of us there are that don't like them.
That's what I keep saying.
Yeah, and I'm not going to feel bad about a few yachts burning down, because Trump's tax cut's going to give them money to buy new ones anyways.
No, they'll be fine.
Yeah. So, all right. So let's get into the State of the Union here.
Let's do it.
First clip I have is I can't believe he said this with Elon Musk in the crowd, but he declares that the days of bureaucrats in government are over.
Unelected bureaucrats.
Unelected bureaucrats are over. Like, are you joking right now? Is this satire?
My administration will reclaim power from this unaccountable bureaucracy, and we will restore true democracy to America again. And any federal bureaucrat who resists this change will be removed from office immediately. Because we are draining the swamp. It's very simple. And the days of rule by unelected bureaucrats are over.
How can you clap? How can you clap with Elon Musk sitting there with you? He is the biggest unelected bureaucrat that we have. It is maddening.
Absolutely. I think one of my favorite clips of that whole little joint session of Congress was there was one stream. I forget which organization was streaming it, but when he talked about unelected bureaucrats not being in charge anymore, and the Republicans stood up and started clapping, they panned over and cut to Elon Musk.
I know, yes.
And he's just sitting there clapping. I was like, the level of disconnect there is brilliant. You could. How pissed do you think the Onion is that all of these things that would be an Onion article, the like real life is beating them to it?
Honestly, it's to the point where you have to fact check Onion articles to make sure there's satire.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm like, oh my god, because nothing is ironic anymore. Everything is so literal.
Listen, satire is truly dead.
It really is.
Doesn't
mean we can't have a few laughs along the way, though.
Oh yeah, of course.
Oh my god. So, but the most epic clip of them all, and this is the dumb, and I've said this about 6 times now, but every time I say it, it is absolutely true. The dumbest shit Donald Trump has ever said. Okay, dumber than, nuking hurricanes, dumber than shoving UV light up your asshole or whatever he said, dumber than eating the cats and dogs, transgender mice. Okay, so this is what Donald Trump has pictured in his head. They're President Krasnov here thinks they're spending $8 million to change the sex of mice. This is what he thinks, and I'm going to tell you why this is the dumbest shit he's ever said. Let me play the clip first, and then we'll get into it.
And Afro-Colombian empowerment in Central America, $60 million. $8 million for making mice transgender. This is real. $32 million for a left-wing propaganda operation in Moldova. $10 million for male circumcision in Mozambique. $20 million for the Arab Sesame Street in the Middle East. It's a program. $20 million for a program.
I forgot about those too.
Oh my God. Listen, I think what just boggles my mind is that the second he started talking about transgender mice, the smooth-brained conservatives of this country that got on the internet and was like, trans mice.
I saw 2 TikTok videos of somebody just so pissed. They're like, they found all this. What else did he say? $10 million on male circumcisions in like Mozambique or something. Oh my God. All right. So look, they're not transitioning the mice. What they saw the word trans, and this has happened multiple times. Within this, like science displays have been ruined because they have like the word diversity in it when it has nothing to do with race. Right. These idiots. Okay, so the word is transgenic, and I'm going to pull up the definition of transgenic because it has nothing to do with gender, relating to or denoting an organism that contains genetic material into which DNA from an unrelated organism has been artificially introduced. They're introducing foreign DNA, like human DNA, into mice. Right. That's the trans
study. Study. But here's the real kicker. They're doing that to get a better understanding on how medications react with Homo sapien DNA.
Right.
So that we can be more effective in our treatment plans and have a better understanding about how medications will affect humans.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But hey, whatever.
We don't need that. Yeah,
it's the same thing though, because look, we got to get rid of all these words. Enola Gay, like the plane that dropped the bomb on Japan, the Enola Gay, that's woke. Get that out of here. Get that
apparently,
out of here.
allegedly, possibly, Elon Musk may have accidentally listed a black site for sale.
I saw that
because they had the word black in it. Man, how fucking stupid are these people? Like, obviously not geniuses. Well, okay, because it had the word black or gay in it, and people had people have served with the last name Gay. So like now they just
not anymore. There was a report. I want to say I forget which one. I'm not even going to pretend like I remember. But there was a report that somewhere between like 22,000 and 100,000 historical military photos have been removed from the DoD website because they had the word gay in it. That included the picture of the airplane that dropped the bomb on Japan. That included individuals who had gay in their name.
Nothing to do with it. Nothing to do with it. But they're
Ridiculous.
banning words. They're banning words behind the scenes. So I think right now, because especially in the health and human services, they're banning words. So which means in the future, anybody that's putting out like a scientific medical report and they put out a report that has one of these banned words in it, they could reject the entire report regardless if it could be like the cure for cancer or whatever. They will ban, you know what I mean? They'll reject the report because it has a banned word in it. This is how crazy this has gotten here. And corporate media has completely abandoned us. MSNBC might be was partially kind of still, I don't know. They every time somebody calls them out, he wants to sue them or have them fired or whatever. Who's his latest target? I forget her name.
I don't remember.
It doesn't matter.
One on his brain every day. So
I know as soon as somebody insults him, he gets mad and threatens to sue.
I'm waiting for my lawsuit.
Yeah, we're all gonna get one eventually. We're all going to get one eventually. So, all right. Yeah. But that was the State of the Union address. It was like almost 2 hours. I think it was the longest.
The longest in history. Yeah.
Yep. Longest in history. And he said absolutely nothing in that longest in history State of the Union address.
Yeah.
Everything was a lie. Gave us no reassurances whatsoever. He's still attacking Canada. He's still attacking Mexico. He's still taking Vladimir Putin's side. And now he's even withholding aid from Ukraine.
Yep.
To help his old buddy out. You know, the Russians did say on state TV that I forget what episode we did this on, but they basically came out and said, "Hey, Donald, we did that favor for you, so now it's time to you to return the favor."
Yes.
And I think now we're seeing what the favor was, is just totally and unilaterally run away from Ukraine.
Yes.
But yeah. And even now, like bombs are dropping. Lots of bombs are dropping in Ukraine right now. There's one city that's at risk of being surrounded with a bunch of Ukrainian soldiers in it. Donald Trump doesn't give a shit.
Nope.
He's still mad about he thinks he was disrespected in the Oval Office during the meeting with Zelensky, which we went over. It pissed me off so bad. But all right, let's go into Elon Musk and this whole George Floyd thing, because Elon Musk is, to me, it sounds like he's trying to start a race war, or I don't know. You talked about it before the show. You've made videos about this too, about the Insurrection Act. And I think that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to antagonize people into doing something crazy, violent, so they can call in the military to squash everything.
Which they don't need to.
No.
Because Donald Trump put out that executive order on the first day of being in office that declared a national emergency at the southern border, claiming that we were being invaded and the sovereignty of our country was under threat. And if you go through and read that executive order, it says that within 90 days, the Secretary of Defense is going to give him a report on the situation at the southern border. And within that investigation, they're going to determine what actionable things the government can do, to include using the Insurrection Act at the southern border.
That's crazy.
And now we know that because when he signed that executive order, we didn't have a Secretary of Defense. Right now, it's Pete Hegseth, who is nothing more than a Donald Trump loyalist, doesn't give two craps about the Constitution or people's individual liberties. He does what Donald Trump tells him to do, and there is absolutely nothing that you can show me right now that would prove anything otherwise. So what's going to happen is Pete Hegseth is going to submit that report to Donald Trump saying that we need to invoke the Insurrection Act so that we can federalize the National Guard and pull them under the umbrella of the executive branch and the president of the United States, and then deploy them to the southern border. And then you'll start seeing the confines surrounding why the Insurrection Act was invoked in the first place be expanded further and further and further.
Yeah, and eventually martial law. But I think Donald Trump is looking for we call it the Reichstag fire moment. And for those of you who don't know what that is, we have a little bit of history. Because it seems like that, to me at least, and the mic as well, it seems like they're just playing out Hitler's playbook to a T.
That's all they are.
That's what Project 2025 was. It's just elaborate. Like if Hitler wrote a plan out, it would be Project 2025. I mean, it's literally what it is. So we have a little bit of information. So the Reichstag fire was an arson attack on the Reichstag building, home of the German parliament in Berlin, Monday, 27th February, 1933, precisely 4 weeks after Adolf Hitler was sworn in as Chancellor of Germany. Now, the Nazis attributed the fire to a group of communist agitators, used it as a pretext to claim that communists were plotting against the German government, and induced von Hindenburg, I remember that guy, von Hindenburg, to issue the Reichstag fire decree, suspending civil liberties and to pursue a ruthless confrontation with the communists. This made the fire pivotal in establishing Nazi Germany. After the fire decree was issued, the police, now controlled by Hitler's Nazi Party, made mass arrests of communists, including all of the communist Reichstag delegates. This severely crippled the communist participation in the March 5th elections. As a result, Hitler goes on to claim absolute power, and then we have World War II. Millions of people die. And here we are. The history is seemingly repeating himself, but I think
Yes.
so far nobody has given Donald Trump that real reason to invoke the Insurrection Act. Maybe. I don't know. The guy's a sick fuck anyway.
He doesn't. Here's the thing. He doesn't need a reason. Pete Hegseth is going to submit this report to the executive saying that there is an invasion at the southern border and that our sovereignty is under threat from these people invading. And he is going to invoke the Insurrection Act so that he can, like I said, federalize the National Guard and deploy the military on domestic soil, which you're not allowed to do unless to put down insurrection, rebellion, or retain order in the states. There's been 2 times in the past 60 years that the Insurrection Act has been used. And both times were in response to people rioting because of violations of human rights. So what's going to happen now? And here's where I see it going. Donald Trump put out a Temu tweet on his little Temu Twitter platform the other day.
It's a good way to put it.
Talking about how illegal protests at college campuses will result in people being deported back to their country.
That's crazy.
Or arrested or whatnot. And so he doesn't say what illegal protests are. So right now, that whole thing was about pro-Palestinian movements across college campuses. That could very easily be shifted to anything that's anti-administration. That right there, he doesn't need a building to be set on fire to do this. He just needs to convince, the Secretary of Defense, who, as we know, is just going to go along with whatever he wants, that there's a real threat to the order of the country by all of these protesters. Now he can start deploying the military against citizens exercising their First Amendment rights.
Yeah, my biggest worry now is that the military is just going to be used as a haven for like white supremacist groups. You know what I mean? Because that's who they like. That's what they want.
Well,
they want people loyal to Trump.
There will come a time, probably sooner rather than later, where your loyalty to the commander in chief will be brought into question. And if you don't answer correctly, then you'll be adcept out of the military so that they can have just a bunch of people. They've already started doing it with generals and officers in leadership positions. And there was a rumor, I haven't verified it, haven't been able to verify it, that loyalty tests had started to circulate through some offices at the DOD.
Oh my God.
And so, I mean, that's what we're looking at right now.
Right.
That's what I see happening.
And I know a lot of people are like, well, they don't have to follow an order that's unlawful, but it's coming from the president. I mean, and tell an 18 or 19-year-old kid that like they're going to defy the president of the United States. I mean, we're asking a lot. And they got rid of all the generals, like you said, that were overly qualified, that would probably resist and have loyalty to the Constitution, and put in people that more align with Donald Trump, I guess. I don't really know how this plays out. It doesn't end well for anybody. If anything, they're just making our national security so weak that we're closer to we're in more danger of being attacked now than I think since 9/11, possibly.
I don't know that we would be attacked or invaded. The United States military is still the strongest and most deadly fighting force on the planet. And I don't think that unless there was a huge alliance of people coming against us, I don't think that any single independent actor is going to risk the might of the United States military and its arsenal coming down on them. But that's really not the point.
No.
Right?
No,
that's not the Donald Trump is wanting to isolate the United States from the rest of the world.
Right.
And so that benefits 2 people. That benefits Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin.
Right. And if we do get attacked, whether it be, it could even, hell, these days, it could even be a cyber attack that could shut down critical services. It could be literally anything. It doesn't have to be boots on the ground, I guess, these days.
Exactly.
But yeah, this is what we have. We have a completely incompetent president running the show who has no idea what he's doing.
Yep.
He's more concerned about playing golf and going to NASCAR races, and he's really excited
Playing
about
golf today.
Yeah, he's really excited about the World Cup coming up and the Olympics. He's very excited about the Olympics coming up. And of course, he takes credit for that. 'Cause thanks to Donald Trump, everything's amazing. And I did everything. I get credit for everything good. And then everything that bad happens is Joe Biden's fault, including the economy falling apart at the moment. The Fox News is legitimately trying to blame that one on Joe Biden as well. It's like, oh my God, we live in the dumbest timeline in human history.
Yes.
But yeah, so Donald Trump is still taking the sides. I know we're going to get into Elon Musk, but I just want to go over this real quick. Donald Trump is still taking the sides of Russia, even as Russia is pounding Ukraine with bombs and surrounding cities and all that shit. And Donald Trump feels like that's what that's normal. That's what Putin should. Apparently, Putin is trying to get peace through bombing the shit out of somebody. I'm not sure how that is a good peace plan, but yeah, let's see what Donald Trump has to say about this real quick.
How to end the war. I think I do know how to end the war. Despite the Russia hoax, I've always had a good relationship with Putin. And, you know, he wants to end the war. He wants to end it. And I think he's going to be more generous than he has to be. And that's pretty good. That means a lot of good things. Because frankly, you could have made a great deal if this war never started. You could have made a great deal. I don't know that anything would have had to be given up. This was not a war that was going to start, Brian. And it didn't start for 4 years. And, you know, somebody said, well, how do we know that? Well, for 4 years it didn't start. I used to speak to Vladimir about it. I used to speak to him about it at length. It was the apple of his eye, but there was no way he was going in.
Yeah. Oh, I also heard them report that because they asked him about Donald Trump ending the war in 24 hours, and somebody legitimately said, well, he didn't say which 24 hours. I'm like, oh, God, no, please, he did not actually say that shit.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
And I challenge anybody to find a clip of Donald Trump saying anything bad about his buddy Vladimir. I guarantee you can't find it.
He won't.
I guarantee you can't find it. So
No, you won't.
no. All right, but let's go in. All right, so let me not hopping back and forth here, but let me go into Elon Musk real quick. I want to play this video because Elon Musk is echoing this sentiment, and I want to play this video I found of Ben Shapiro, which most of you know is just another right-wing, very well-paid propaganda machine who spread some of the most god-awful lies, including things about George Floyd's death that have very much been disproven and debunked. But here he is still advocating for the release of this guy. It's unbelievable.
If we are issuing pardons, however, there is one person that President Trump should pardon from federal charges forthwith. It would be incredibly controversial, but I think that it's absolutely necessary. That person is Derek Chauvin. President Trump should, in fact, pardon Derek Chauvin. He should. He should pardon him his federal charges. If we are talking about reversing the evils of the last several years in American life, but when it came to BLM, the inciting event for the BLM riots that caused $2 billion in property damage in the United States and set America's race relations on their worst footing in my lifetime, was in fact the railroading of Derek Chauvin in the death of George Floyd. The evidence demonstrates that Derek Chauvin did not in fact commit murder of George Floyd. George Floyd was high on fentanyl. He had a significant pre-existing heart condition. George Floyd was saying he could not breathe before he was even out of the car. He was in the car saying he could not breathe. Derek Chauvin, for large segments of even the tape that was shown, had his knee on George Floyd's shoulder or back, not on his neck. The autopsy of George Floyd showed that he had no damage to his trachea, that probably George Floyd died of excited delirium.
Excited delirium. Yeah, because that happens all the time. But I think he blew his case out of the water right there, because if George Floyd was saying he can't breathe before he had a cop on his neck, I mean, it kind of blows your whole argument right there. And everything he said was a lie. You can go and look it up yourself. I mean, forensics proved it. I think it was 2 different autopsies were done, and they both proved it. So he's just talking out of his ass. He's just a racist who thinks that because it was a black guy that he killed, he should get off the hook. somehow that's not that bad. I don't understand how racists think. It actually drives me nuts. It infuriates me how these people could say stuff like this with just this stone cold, dead serious look on their face. But, you know, Donald Trump is pardoning the Silk Road guy, and he is importing rapists and human traffickers into the country with the Tate brothers. So honestly, this would not surprise me. He pardoned all the J6ers, even the ones that were violent offenders. Yeah. So this is actually on brand for Donald Trump.
Though, like I said earlier, Derek Chauvin, even if Donald Trump pardoned him of the federal charges that came against him, he's not getting out of jail. He was convicted of murder in a state court, and only the state governor can pardon those charges. So he's not going anywhere.
No, and like you said, it's Tim Walz, right?
I don't see Tim Walz doing that. So.
We could have had him as vice president. Oh, now we got the guy that fucks couches. Jesus Christ, man. Seriously, this is why we turn off our ad revenue for these shows, is because honestly, there's so much bad stuff going on that we have to talk about it. We have to talk about it openly. But this stuff is so disgusting. Like, we get in trouble with YouTube for some of the stuff that we show. But I think it's necessary for us to really talk about it. So, all right. So that you heard him say that, and Elon Musk is on board with this idea. Yep. And I think it was Farron Cousins. I don't know if you know who he is on YouTube. I love his stuff. He actually also thinks that that's at least Elon's intentions. Like, that's why Elon wants to do it. It's because Elon's a racist piece of shit. We all know it now. I mean, we've known it for a long time, but now he just made it like white out in the open, and he's leaning into it. He is leaning into it. But the smartest man on the world, and just let's clarify something for all you MAGA nut jobs that think, oh, but he works 120 hours a week. Okay, tweeting at 4 in the fucking morning when you're high on ketamine and cocaine, allegedly,
it's not working
for legal reasons. That does not work. Okay, stop saying he's working. That's stupid. I actually saw an AI picture generated of Elon Musk sleeping at like one of the departments that he invaded, and like half the MAGA in the comments are like, "Oh my God, he's so dedicated," and it was clearly an AI photo. And it wasn't even a good one, and they just fall for everything.
Well, they fell for the AI video that showed this 200-foot statue of Jesus being erected on the south lawn of the White House or whatever.
I forgot about that. They're like, hallelujah.
Listen, they'll believe anything.
Okay, so let's go back to the smartest man. Brett Baer claims Elon Musk is the smartest man on the planet. Ugh. That's rich. But this is what this guy posts at all hours of the night, okay? Or reposts. He doesn't really have a lot of original thoughts. Usually he'll repost something and just put like one word or the big googly eyes or something like that. But in this case, he posted something by a right-wing influencer named Gunther Eagleman. Gunther is ridiculously insane. And like just all of Donald Trump's ads. Donald Trump could do no wrong in this guy's eyes. So he posts... Yes. Joe Biden killed the chickens. And then Elon Musk goes, it's true. There was an insane slaughter of 150 million egg-laying chickens ordered by the Biden administration. Like, yeah, okay, so that's why egg prices are high, guys. That's why they're high. Because Joe Biden's fault. He killed all the chickens.
Well, but here's what they always do. They take a kernel of truth and then leave out the broader context. Yes, there were a lot of chickens that were killed during the Biden administration because there was a spreading of bird flu going to all those chickens, making it unsafe to continue to have those birds around all the other birds. So yes, see, but that's what they do, and they never want to talk about the context or the nuance of situations, right? So there is a kernel of truth that a lot of birds were killed under the Biden administration. Right. But the broader context and truth of the whole thing is that the reason that happened was because they were all spreading bird flu.
Right. Ooh, well, shocker.
Yeah.
Well, they
Weird.
also, there was also a kernel of truth in the Biden administration initially ordering electric armored vehicles. That part was true, but it was not $400 million in Teslas. That was
trucks.
right. That was definitely not Cybertrucks. See, that's why Elon Musk didn't like the Biden administration, because Joe Biden wanted everybody to make electric vehicles.
Right.
And Elon Musk doesn't like competition. He wants to monopolize the market.
Correct.
So that's why he's put all his cars into Donald Trump. And I enjoy watching Elon lose money on a regular basis or on a daily basis.
It's my favorite thing in the world.
It is. It gives me some sort of pleasure in this god awful world we live in. But all right, so the smartest man on the planet again is on the Joe Rogan show, and the conversation on this is insane. Joe Rogan's convinced that there is some sort of secret government organization that has developed a advanced like warp drive or something. I cut that part of it out because it's so long. Joe Rogan really believes this shit. But here's Elon Musk explaining that he would know. And the reason he would know is because he has an all-access pass, which this is not a thing, just so we're very clear. Matt, you could probably confirm this for me, but let me play this video of Elon Musk claiming he has an all-access pass to see anything and everything. And there's no warp drive, by the way, just to burst your bubble.
Have the, from a security clearance standpoint, I have top secret. I have equivalent of like an all access pass from a security clearance standpoint. So, I don't think they're hiding it from me. Basically, I don't think they could,
unless it's completely in these weapons manufacturing corporations.
I mean, I know these weapons manufacturing companies, like Boeing, Lockheed, and Northrop. I mean, yeah, they do some interesting things, but they do not have. There's no breakthrough that they have.
So
I'm confident they do not have a breakthrough.
So let me. I know I might be bursting some people's bubbles here.
Go for it.
But there is no such thing as a top secret clearance.
right.
That's not a thing.
No.
That's not how you don't have an all access pass with a security clearance. That's not how security clearances work.
Right.
You have need to know access to whatever it is that you need to know.
Right.
So this idea that Elon Musk can just go wherever he wants because he's got top secret clearance and all access fucking multi-pass is absolutely insane.
Multi-pass.
But here's the dangerous part about this shit, right? Is that every freaking MAGA chud on the planet is going to be like, see, Elon Musk can do whatever he wants, wherever he wants, within the federal government because he's got a top secret clearance.
Right. Yeah. If you come to me and I hear you say top secret clearance, I'm going to punch you in the throat. I'm just going to let you know right now because that's something a child would say. I have top secret clearance.
Well, I've got news for Elon Musk. I have a super top secret clearance.
Right.
And I know that all of this stuff exists. Falls in your court, Elon.
Yeah, but this guy, instead of he's entertaining the conversation, though, is what kills me. He's like, just instead of saying to Joe Rogan, no, that's dumb. Stop eating so many psychedelics. It's mushing your brain up. He's sitting there like, oh, well, I think I would know because I have a super duper secret clearance.
I got a multi-pass to the government.
Right.
No.
He doesn't even have a proper clearance to see this stuff he sees at SpaceX because of his rampant, openly admitted drug use. He can't get secret clearance.
And his continued association and dealings with foreign governments.
That too. There's always that.
That also prevents you from getting a top secret clearance.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So,
yeah.
Stupid.
Oh my God. Yeah, this is the world we live in. But again, Elon is not finding any fraud because there isn't any. And I guarantee if they had found one single person committing the fraud that they could have blamed it on, they would have strung them up by now and hung them out to dry.
They would have been made an example of. what they're finding is spending that they don't like, and they're labeling it as fraud.
Right. Or they're canceling already paid out contracts and saying,
Right.
look, we saved a bunch of money. We paid,
Right.
we're like, those
Yeah.
are already paid out.
We already paid that doofus.
Or they'll put the same contract multiple times and count it like 4 or 5 times
Right.
as savings.
Like, that's not how that
It's
works, you
idiotic.
dorks.
Right. This is not how it's supposed to work. But apparently, I think Elon Musk is going to go down for all of this because apparently there's very much tensions between the GOP leaders now and Elon Musk. They're not happy because their constituents, the ones that voted for them, are asking them, why is all this happening? That's one of the reasons they stopped doing town halls, because they got tired of answering that question. So, yeah, the tide has turned, and I think Elon Musk eventually, maybe or maybe not, I don't know, I think he's going to be the one that takes the fall for all this, because Donald Trump's not about taking accountability. It's about blaming others for his mistakes and then claiming that he saved the day. That's Donald Trump's MO. So, but let's recap real quick because we're getting to our next topic here. So they got rid of USAID because they thought that was fraud, wasteful spending. And then Mike Johnson actually claimed at one point that USAID was funding drag shows and trans operas. That was the first time I've ever heard this one. Mike and I don't know if he meant to say operations, but realized how stupid he sounded and just ended up saying trans operas. Donald Trump is now putting a 250% tariff on Canadian dairy. He's also decided to put sanctions on trade with Russia, which we don't actually trade with Russia, or tariffs on Russia.
Right.
We don't
They're
do
talking
anything
about
with them.
sanctions on Russia. I was like, we already have sanctioned Russia to death. Like, what more are you going to put?
Actually, in the past, Trump has talked about lifting the sanctions for Russia.
Oh, it wasn't even the past. It was like 14 hours ago.
I know, right? It just happened. I'm like, oh, God. You mean it's only been that long? I thought it was 3 years.
I know. That was the longest 14 years of my life, though.
Right. So now Trump wants to also renegotiate Canada's border and revoke shared use of the Great Lakes. That's a new one. Canceling NORAD. Have you heard about this one?
No.
All right. Let me have to look more into that because that's insane.
I haven't heard about that
Cuts to the Department of Education, which we'll talk about next week. And then the one thing we wanted to talk about today, which is serious because it's about people that have served our country. They want to cut massive cuts to the VA.
Yes.
So the VA plans to lay off as many as 83,000 employees this year. So a leaked memo Tuesday called for VA to slash its workforce to 2019 levels that were in place before millions of veterans became newly eligible for care. More than 1 in 4 VA employees are veterans. The memo follows 2 executive orders that Trump issued calling for agencies to reshape their workforces and develop IRF, I don't know what that is, and reorganization plans. VA largely exempted its workforce from the government-wide hiring freeze and fired a relatively small proportion of its probationary employees, leaving some to question as to whether the department would have to lay off employees at all. We now find that that is not the case. So the one thing they have done in stunning fashion is apparently gotten rid of the people that handle the veteran suicide hotline. Is that right? So
They fired a bunch of people from the veteran suicide hotline.
Now, explain to those of us who don't, because I was not a good soldier. I'll be the first to admit that. So I don't really do anything with the military anymore. So I do take pride in it. My father was in the military for 22 years. I grew up in it. I got lots of respect for it and all that stuff. It just didn't work out for me. So what all does the VA essentially do, Veterans Affairs?
So the VA, in general, like in a broad stroke explanation, provides healthcare and benefits to veterans. So when we're talking about healthcare, we're talking about, anything that was service connected while you're in. So any medical condition that you have that can be deemed to be caused by your service is covered through a VA healthcare facility, whether that's an outpatient clinic, a hospital, whatever. And you can go there as the veteran, and you don't have to pay to get the care that you earned from your time in service for anything that was done or any medical condition that you have that was caused by your service. As far as the benefits go, they look at they do a deep dive into your service history and look through your medical records and find any conditions that are in there that are service connected, and then you get financial compensation based on those disabilities that you have through the VA.
Gotcha.
They do some other work with housing assistance and VA loans, education benefits, things like that. So it's kind of this this promise that the country allegedly has made to people that served, volunteered to serve, or were drafted to serve, that when you get out, the country will take care of you if you have a reason or a need for care after you get out. So a lot of veterans, specifically with the kind of deep dive into mental health care, have been using the mental health treatments and counseling and therapy sessions and medications coming through the VA to help improve their day-to-day lives so that they can continue to exist in society without this overwhelming dread that they don't actually deserve to exist in society. One of those organizations or benefits that was set up through the VA was the Veteran Suicide Hotline. Because as we know, veterans are a very large they're a very small population with a very large percentage of us that are committing suicide every single day, right? The Veterans Suicide Hotline was a resource that veterans had, that if they were feeling hopeless or those suicidal tendencies or thoughts were starting to creep back into their minds, they could call and talk to somebody on the phone to help them work through what they were feeling, and then hopefully prevent them from deleting themselves from the timeline, right?
Right.
And what happened is Elon Musk, and I'm assuming big balls because he's going to get all of the shade from me forever,
Right.
decided that it would be a good idea to fire 1,000 freaking people from the Veteran Suicide Hotline, which doesn't do anything other than make it easier for veterans to kill themselves.
Right.
That's all it does.
Right. And I remember, like, because when my dad retired, because the VA was pretty rough back in the day.
The VA is still rough.
It still is. It did come a long way. I think probably since 9/11, they started to really put a focus on the soldiers' well-being and aftercare. I think I became more of a focus because of these long. I mean, we were in Afghanistan for 20 years?
20 years.
Yeah. So, but yeah, just to see them gut it and to treat people that serve our country, because none of these people know what service is. You think Donald Trump has ever served anybody other than himself? Please, Elon Musk. You think he's ever put a thought into serving this country? Nothing that he's doing is serving his country. It's all for self-service.
Yes.
He's just trying to make himself richer.
And let's be completely honest here. The VA has always been set up for failure. The VA, people complain about the VA because the VA was never funded or staffed properly to accommodate what veterans need, right? The PACT Act is a prime example of that. When we signed the PACT Act into law, it allowed for 1 million new veterans to come and start receiving health care through VA facilities for exposure to burn pits and cancers and medical conditions that they had, that they developed because of that exposure. And what didn't happen was an adding of providers to these new 1 million veterans that are coming into the VA system. So you had let's just take an arbitrary number. There were 1,000 doctors, let's say, before the PACT Act was signed, and you had 20 million veterans or whatever using, or whatever it was, using that. After the PACT Act was signed and you add 1 million new veterans, there's still only 1,000 doctors.
Right.
So of course the system's going to get bogged down because you didn't add in any providers to care for this influx of new people.
Right. No, you're right. You're absolutely right. And I really don't think taking away mental health treatments and medications from trained killers is is a great idea. I'm just throwing that out there. You know.
Yeah.
It's like mental health medication. When they're talking about that, I'm sitting there shaking my head like, y'all do not want to see me without my mental health medication. You don't think I'm crazy
saying.
now? What?
I'm just saying.
I'm just throwing it out there. So, but yeah, so it's an absolute shit show. But let me play. Actually, I have this clip of Alina Habba because this just gives you an idea of how they feel about veterans. She's like, oh, they don't want to work. Or if they want to work from home, they don't need a job. Okay, but this is going to bite Trump in the ass, I think, with a lot of veterans.
Is the president starting to think about maybe some of those veterans who worked for the federal government and maybe what the administration can do to at least help salvage their lives?
Well, as you know, we care about veterans tremendously. I mean, that's something the president has always cared about. Anybody in blue, anybody that serves this country. But at the same time, we have taxpayer dollars. We have a fiscal responsibility to use taxpayer dollars to pay people that actually work. That doesn't mean that we forget our veterans by any means. We are going to care for them in the right way, but perhaps they're not fit to have a job at this moment or not willing to come to work. And
what is their obsession? Why is working from home such a big deal to these people? It's like the trans issue. You know, I mean, I've said it before, but let's put it in perspective. There are more people accused of sexual assault in Donald Trump's own cabinet than there are trans athletes in the entirety of college sports.
Correct.
And that is their main focus, is attacking trans people, which, reminders, is the same thing that Hitler did before he went for the Jews. He went for the trans people.
Yep.
And what is Donald Trump doing? Trans people, Hispanic people.
Yep. So what is their obsession with people working from home? I have no idea. Because I haven't heard Alina Habba come out and condemn Kash Patel, the new director of the FBI, for requesting to be able to work from home.
I did not know that. These people freak me out, man. Kash Patel's insane. Yes. Legit insane. The guy writes like love kids books that are all about idolizing King Trump.
Yeah.
And then you got Tulsi Gabbard, who Russia's straight up said she's one of ours proudly.
Yeah.
And that's who we have.
I'm just interested if Alina Habba would say that exact same thing that she said in her answer, that if they don't want to work, the taxpayer shouldn't be burdened, to a veteran's face.
Yeah, never would they do that.
I would like to see Alina Habba go and tell one of those veterans that was fired because of big balls in fucking Elon Musk, that the reason that they got fired was because they weren't meeting the standard and they don't want to work, and maybe they don't need a job right now. Go and do that, Alina. Yeah. I would love to see you do that.
I would too. I really would. But I mean, I know we bring in a lot of grim news, but like I said, the one thing corporate media is not showing, and you'll get glimpses of it on social media, is people are standing up, people are fighting back. Protests are happening, peaceful, very, very peaceful protests are happening all across the country. The one we went to, I got to meet you in real life. That was really cool. That was only my second protest. And it's just I recommend it to anybody if you have a chance. And I think the hard thing for me is just finding out when and where. Yeah. Like, there's not like a central database you could go look up when a protest is dropping or anything like that. So I think organization for me and location is hard because I'm also in the middle of nowhere. But people are standing up, and I think I wish they wouldn't wait until the weather gets warmer, but I think we're going to see a lot happen over the summer. And the Republicans' plan, it is failing, at least in the courts, which I think is why they're so upset with Elon Musk. I think that's why the GOP is, because all the stuff he's doing is illegal. All of it's gonna fail in court. Whatever's left of our court system, anyway, depending on which judge they get. So there are some glimmers of hope out there, I think. And I think this last glimmer of hope I'll give you, because apparently even if you lost Fox News, you definitely lost the plot, because even Fox News is saying what they're doing is just outrageous. And here's the smallest Johnson in the White, the smallest Johnson in Congress replying.
The government shouldn't be in the business of firing a veteran who served their country for 20 years and then having to fix it later. I don't trust that it will fix it later. I just don't. And you can come up, look, there are a lot of comical things that President Trump mentioned at the State of the Union that you mentioned about the government was spending money on. A lot of things that are getting cut are cancer research. Support for scientists across this country saving the lives of children with cancer. That's just one. So we can talk about cuts, but doing it this way hurts Americans. It's irresponsible. And quite frankly, that's why you see not just paid protesters, with all due respect, some constituents in Republican districts who are coming to these town halls and saying, I'm a veteran. I lost my job. I have come to work every day. How can you? And Elon Musk makes millions of dollars every day from the American government. And you're firing these people.
Stay tuned, because it's going to be corrected. And I've talked to Elon about this personally, and many of us have. He has completely pure motives. He's trying to make the government work better for the people. All the people and the essential employees and the people doing great work will come back.
Pure motives, because Elon is such a good person.
I don't know if the Speaker of the House knows this or not, but the responsibility of Congress is to ensure that the government is running for the people, not one unelected billionaire. I don't know if the Speaker of the House knows that, but that's your job, you absolute dingus.
Yeah, it's our government is so fucked.
Yeah.
I mean, really. But we have to keep fighting back, y'all. We cannot give up because, again, like I said at the beginning of the show, the way fascism wins is if we just roll over and comply. Yep. And at no point can we do that. We have to resist. We just have to keep going. So, but that's all the stuff we wanted to cover today. I know I was a little bit all over the place, a little scatterbrained. A lot going on this week. Do you have anything coming up, Matt, that you want to share? I know you there any lives or anything on TikTok that you want to share?
I will be live later on tonight with some people talking about the protests that are happening on the 14th across the country. So if you want to join me for that. I am planning a couple of different protests in a couple of different places right now, but I don't have a lot of details on those just yet, but we are coming together with some stuff. And I will just leave everybody with one thing. Fascist regimes, when they are in power and authority, are terrifying. They are destructive, bigoted, and hateful. But every single one of them ends spectacularly. Just ask Mussolini and Hitler how it worked out for them.
Exactly. So, yeah, we got a long road ahead of us, but we cannot get discouraged. We have to fight back. Boycotts are working. Okay, definitely working. We just need more people on board. And I'll say it again. I know it sounds cheesy, but unity is the key. We have to be a united front because that's what makes MAGA so goddamn powerful. Is they are united in their stupidity and their hate for everybody. That's what it is. That's what drives them. They don't even know why they hate half the shit that they hate. Donald Trump told them to, or Donald Trump tweeted about it. They're like, oh, I hate that now. So we have to be like that, but polar opposite. Okay, you know what I mean? We have to somehow figure out how to unite everybody, including people that did not vote, including very much so people that did not vote, because they need to be involved in this as well.
100%.
So thank you very much for watching, Matt. Thanks for coming on again today. I appreciate it. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I forgot to say that halfway through the show. Also, if you'd like to support us, you can do so. I know I'm sorry I didn't get to the comments today. Mike usually handles the comments, and I saw some of you guys did donate some money to us, so I appreciate it. Also, we do have a GoFundMe link in the description of the video. We're trying to raise more money so we can do more on location type stuff. We also want to upgrade our, make this like an official studio type setup. And we can't do it without your help. But if anything, just like and subscribe, totally free. Share this video with your friends. Let's get the word out. We don't have a lot of time. We have to do this fast, and we need your help to do it. So other than that, have a good rest of your day. And like always, we'll talk to you.